It's 9 p.m. in RTD's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. So we have the President Gele presents to the Djibouti Cup trophy to the winners. For the international scene, the Minister of Muslim Affairs on a working visit to Ankara, Turkey. For the international scene, 66% more than 2 decades ago, pollution kills more than 9 million people each year. Welcome to our new newsroom under the high patronage of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh. Took place today, Friday, the finals of the Saturday, the final of the Cup of Djibouti, which opposed the team of Arta Solar 7 and Assas Djibouti Telecom at the Stadium El Hajj Hassan Guled Abtidon. On his arrival, the President of the Republic was welcomed by the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed and the Secretary of State for Sports Hassan Mohammed Kamil, as well as the President of the National Olympic Committee Aisha Garada Ali. Of hundreds of supporters of two teams, the teams of Arta Solar 7 scored the first goal thanks to Ibrahim Ali, who scored the 56nd, followed by the second goal of his teammate Diafara Sako, and the 42nd minute of finally the third victory against the team Assas Djibouti Telecom, which scored one goal. Note that the team Arta Solar 7 to win 5 consecutive times to the Cup of Djibouti and 2 times the national championship. The President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, handed over the trophy of the Djibouti Cup to the team of Arta Solar 7, which won in the final match of 3 goals against Assas Djibouti Telecom, which scored only 1 goal. The President handed the cup to Alexander Song, the captain of the team Arta Solar 7, under the applause and joy of the team and their supporters.
xilkuna ruux gayo gudan kara mahuro geeruno irmanga wuhuno xugan geed iyo dhirtu beeraba gobiya laga guray midhaha agele garwadeen dadkiisiyo duniduba guddoonto taariikhda galay weeye agele abagele agele abagele.
The message of congratulations from the President of the Republic to his Ethiopian counterpart, the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Gelle, expressed this Saturday his warm congratulations to the President of the Democratic and Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Ms. Sahle Work Zaude, and to all the brotherly, friendly, neighboring people of Ethiopia celebrating today the anniversary of the National Day of their country. The people and government of Djibouti join me in expressing their sympathy and fraternity to the sister nation of Ethiopia, wrote President Gelle in the congratulatory telegram sent to his Ethiopian counterpart. I am all the more hopeful of greater development in Ethiopia as our two countries made for more than 2 decades the wise choice of a community of economic destiny. The head of state noted in the same document, be sure, Madam President, that you will always find with the people and government of Djibouti all the collaboration conducive to the strengthening of exceptional relations set up as a model through the Black Continent. Between our two countries and our two people, President Ismail Omar Gelle said, reiterating his best wishes to all the brotherly and friendly people of Ethiopia. It should be noted that a similar message was also sent to the Ethiopian Prime Minister, His Excellency Abiy Ahmed Ali. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Government spokesman, His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, represent the President of the Republic at the 15th extraordinary sessions of the Assembly of Head of State and Government of the African Union and the Conference of Donors this May 27, 2022 in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. The minister is accompanied by an important delegation, including the ambassador of Djibouti in Ethiopia and permanent representative to the African Union, Abdi Mahmoud Ebe, Wafa Qasim Ali, consular of the Embassy of Djibouti in Addis Ababa, and Musa Ali Mohammed, consular at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This 50th extraordinary session examines the humanitarian situations on the continent with the announcement of the contributions of the African Union member states and partners for the operationalizations of the African Humanitarian Agency. The Minister of Muslim Affairs and Waqf, Momin Hassan Barre, paid a working visit to Ankara upon the invitations of the President of Diyanet, the largest religious institution in Turkey. The minister was warmly welcomed by the President of the Diyanet, Dr. Ali Arpash, in Ankara, in the presence of our ambassador to Ankara, Adan Hussein Abdullahi. The meeting was attended by the Secretary General of the Ministry, Mr. Shuaib Adjal, the Director General of Diwan Waqf, and the Director General of the Al-Wasatiyya Institute of Cultures of Peace, Al-Saleh Ahmed Abdallah. Welcoming the minister and accompanying delegation, Dr. Ali Arpash praised the excellent cooperation and fraternal ties between the two brotherly countries. He gave an overview of the Directorate of Religious Affairs in charge of managing everything related to the Islamic religions. For his part, Momin Hassan Barre thanked the President of Diyanet for the warm welcome he and his delegations received. He said that he was pleased with this visit to exchange on various issues of common interest within the framework of the memoranda of understanding signed between the two institutions. The minister stressed that the inaugurations of the Al-Hamda II Mosque in Djibouti City in February 2019 was a high point in the relations of the two brotherly countries, as this mosque symbolizes the historical ties between Djibouti and Turkey. Thereafter, both parties discussed ways and means for strengthening bilateral cooperation, exchange of expertise and best practices in the field of religious services. The Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, held this morning at 6 a.m. in the place of the report of the Technical and Tactical Instruction Center of Humbuli, Sita, of Camp Shah Osman, an important meeting. The meeting was attended by all the defense and security forces of the country. The objective of this meeting was to prepare and coordinate the parade of the June 6 and June 27 for the celebrations of the ceremony of the creations of the Djiboutian Armed Forces and the Independence Day. Due to the restrictions related to the COVID-19 pandemic, the parade has been banned for the last 2 years, 2021, that's in 2022, the commemoration of the 45th anniversary of the creations of the Djiboutian Armed Forces will be marked by a taking up of arms of the defense and security forces, followed by a military parade on foot. This big ceremony will be organized in a centralized way at the place of Sita report. It was the opportunity for the General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, that's the meeting today, to give the guidelines to mark the sprite and make the parade a memorable moment. An important information meeting on the health symposium was held at the headquarters of the city of Djibouti in the presence of the Deputy Mayors Fatouma Mohamed Kamil. Indeed, several senior executives of the Department of Health have discussed the communal and municipal leaders, including the president of the three communes of the capital, to inform them and advocate for the involvement of local elected officials in this process of consultation that is underway. Decided at the highest level of the state, initiated by the Minister of Health, His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Roubel Abdillah, the Health Symposium aims to engage in a collective and constructive reflections around the various issues related to the health reforms. To this end, the Health Executive Team detailed the goals and objectives of this symposium, whose success is highly dependent on the participation and active involvement of civil society throughout this process of citizens' consultations, debate, and discussions on the improvement of the health system in our country. As part of the preparations for the decentralized baccalaureate, the Ministry of Decentralization received on the mornings of Saturday, May 28, 2022, a batch of matrices for the future baccalaureate holders who will take their baccalaureate for the first time in their respective regions. Indeed, the preparations for the organization of this first decentralized baccalaureate are in their final stretches, and the Ministry of Decentralization is working hard to meet the optimal conditions to this first promotion of a decentralized baccalaureate. These matrices and other equipment put in place by the Ministry of Decentralization, such as air conditioner, will be forwarded today to the 5 regions of the interior. Since the declaration made in Mulud in July 2021, the determinations of the Minister of Decentralization, Qasim Harun Ali, for a decentralized baccalaureate is at its peak. No respite. Even on holidays, the joint teams of the decentralization ministers and MENFOP is hard at work in the file for the success of this national event of the first run. In the region of Tajora, heavy rains fell this noon in the sub-prefectures of Adailu We'ima, affecting all the localities with forces, especially Aisalu, Adailu, Ablehaf. Fortunately, despite the strength of the wind and thus no casualties were reported. The Wadi Abahloita, which crosses the city of Adailu upstreams and downstreams, as well as the small will join it, are all in flood. As you can see on this picture, the flood waters of the Abahloita have poured into the great of We'ima, is within the flow of this wadi, which crosses the north of the regions of Tajara and Obok. According to the information gathered from local sources, 18 millimeters of rain fell in the regions of Adailu We'ima. The arrivals of this rainfall is a relief to the families living in the areas of We'ima, Adailu, who were suffering a lot from the consequences of a drought that affects the whole of our countries and the countries of the Horn of Africa. These seasonal rains, which occurs mainly in the summer period, have also affected several sectors in the regions of Tajura. The Association of Women and Young People of Engela is organizing a Citizens' Day in collaboration with the Djibouti City Hall. This Citizens' Actions is part of the 55th anniversary of the countries to beautify the streets of the capital. It is a relatively sunny weather this Saturday, May 28, that the members of the collective of the Associations of Women and Young People involved with Engela Neighborhood Council girls and boys were found around this salt and saw the participations of the Deputy Mayor Fatuma Mohammed Kamil and the President of the Municipality of Bulaut Abdul Qadir Iman and the local elected officials and President of the Associations of Women and Young People involved with to Miss Fatuma Utban. This operation, which is a patriotic and civic act aimed to raise the civic commitment of young people and women through actions of cleanliness, it aims to raise the spirit of work of general interests within the youth, but also it aims to strengthen the mix and solidarity between young people, women who live in the same city and in the different municipalities. The Sport Associations of Hayable hosted yesterday afternoon the work of the General Assembly of the organizations in the headquarters of the association located on the height of Balbala. In addition to members and leaders of association, the event was marked by the presence of many personalities, including the president of the Balbala, Mohammed Hassan Saeed, the vice president, Mr. Suleiman Ali Suleiman, the chairman of the communication committee, and members of the steering committee of federations of football, Hussein Ilmi, the leaders of the many football clubs, traders and elders, and the elders of Hayable. The work of the General Assembly was opened by the readings of Holy Quran, and a few days earlier the national anthems, and few days earlier the president of the Sports Association, Mohammed Ilmi Farah, was reappointed to the head of the association for a new term by his peers. This General Assembly yesterday was an opportunity for him to present his roadmap for the project of the sports seasons 2022-2023. The president of the association said in the roadmap of the new sports season, the president of the association said that the association will launch the new clubs that will evolve in other sports disciplines such as handball, basketball, and athletics. A delegation of the Minister of Health visited the Ali Sabih region yesterday morning. The purpose of this trip to the delegation of the Ministry of Health was to meet with the regional authority, the key actors of the civil society, for a consultation workshop in order to put in place a new strategy to revitalize and relaunch the awareness and anti-COVID-19 vaccines at regional level. The workshop was attended by the prefect of the region, Musa Adan Migane, the president of the regional council, Charmaki Hassan Allale. The authorities of the regions urged the participants who came to this workshop and the populations of Ali Sabih to take advantage of these vaccines for this protected in order to continue the accelerations of the vaccination campaign. The Ministry of Health has taken the initiative to intensify the awareness of vaccinations by collaborating with the regional authorities as well as stakeholders in order to reach the maximum of people over 80 years old and living in the Asajok territory. As part of actions to fight against smuggling, the Customs Brigade of Ali Sabih, in collaboration with the elements of the police detachments of Ali Sabih, have intercepted near the outskirts of the chief town Ali Sabih city a large quantity of contraband cat food. The goods seized on these occasions were 1,000 kilograms of cat, which the smugglers wanted to bring to the Djibouti. The police and customs officers who collaborated in the success of this operation also seized the vehicles that was carrying the smuggled goods. The customs of Ali Sabih, under the authorities of Muhammad Mumin Hassan, immediately proceeded to the destruction by fires the smuggled cat. Remember that smuggling is detrimental to the economy of our country, and without the complicity of a potential buyers, the traffickers could not exercise this illegal trade. It is therefore incumbent on each citizen to lead on his side this fight to end this scourge. Following the example of the rest of the world, the Republic of Djibouti organized this morning the first editions of the event, Walk the Talk, the Challenge of Health for All. These first editions of the work highly symbolic to co-organized by the Secretary of State in charge of sport, the Minister of Health, and who gathered a large crowd of different social categories, several regional authorities and personalities, representative of the organizing institutions, the armed forces, and several other guests took part in this event. The objective was to promote health accessible to all, to raise awareness of the importance of sports in the fight against metabolic disease such as hypertension, diabetes. It should be noted that hiking in an outdoor activity that is done on foot following a route marked or not alone in a group. It is both a sports and a leisure activity of discovery and contemplation. The walk was followed by the presentations of trophy to the reward winners of the tournament, as well as the important batch of sports materials in favor of the Dakhel youth. The event took place in front of the prefecture of the Dakhel region in the presence of, in addition to the Secretary General of the State Secretary for Sports, Khadija Ibrahim Idris, the officials of the State Secretary for Sports, the Prefect Adan Musa Drar, the President of the Regional Council Mahad Hussein Ahmed, and Colonel Ibrahim Yusuf. For the international scene, African Union calls for lifting economic sanctions against Zimbabwe. African leaders are meeting in Malabo seeking to raise funds to address the humanitarian crisis facing the continent. 15 countries are particularly affected and urgently need assistance. This is the case of Zimbabwe, for which the President of African Union has called for the lifting of sanctions imposed by Western powers for over 20 years. Bearing in mind the repeated request of the African Union, I make a solemn appeal for the lifting of the foreign sanctions imposed for years of our brothers and sisters in Zimbabwe in these times and deep risk crisis. These sanctions further worsen the living conditions of the Zimbabwean people, said Macky Sall. Zimbabwe has been under U.S. and European Union sanctions for 2 decades, imposed after the violent crackdowns or opponents of Robert Mugabe's regime in 2002 presidential election. They are accompanied by a suspension of budgetary aid from the International Monetary Fund. And to close up this edition, 66% more than 2 decades ago, pollution kills more than 9 million people each year. Pollution is unwanted human-made releases into the air, land, waters, and oceans without regard to cost and consequences was responsible for 9 million deaths in 2019, with the little progress in the past 4 years, according to new studies. The researchers highlighted industrial pollution, such as chemical pollution, as the main problems. The Lancet Commissions on Pollution and Health, using data from the global burdens of disease, studies found that pollution was responsible for 16% of all deaths worldwide and economic losses, totally $14.6 trillion. The new report provides updated estimate of the effects pollution based on the most recent 2019 data of the 9 million deaths attributable to pollution in 2019. The studies found that air pollution, domestic and ambient, was responsible for the largest number of premature deaths at 6.6 million people. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.